So excited to have Myles Kennedy on the Rock Countdown. We've had Mark Tremonti representing Alter Bridge for the past few times, but since Myles has a new solo album coming out in March, we thought we'd have him back. Good to see you again, man.
Thanks for having me. It's good to be here.
I gotta tell you, man, with so many different projects outside of Alter Bridge, you finally did manage to get all of you together to write and record The Last Hero. I mean, was this a plan that was in action a year before it actually all happened, or just coincidentally said, hey, we're all free, let's go record? But I seriously doubt that was the case, right?
Yeah, we try to have it all planned out about a year in advance. We know where things are going. So we're already setting aside time for 2019 at this point. You know, to 18, I'll be doing my solo record, Year of the Tiger, which comes out on March 9th. And I'll, tour that, and I'll be staying very busy next year. Mark's going to be doing Tremonti. Scott's got Projected. I'm sure Brian will be doing something as well. But then 2019, we'll be back to Alter Bridge. I can't stop. I mean, it's the one thing that keeps me sane. So Mark would probably say the same thing, that each of us always has a guitar in our hands and always writing, always work on, come up with ideas. If I'm not performing, generally I'm writing. So that's just what I'm put on this earth to do.
Myles Kennedy hanging out with us, talking about Alter Bridge, talking about his upcoming solo album. But one thing about Alter Bridge I love is those long, epic tracks that you seem to have on pretty much all of your albums. So do you make an effort to get one of those included on each album, or it just kind of works out that way?
Yeah, I think since Blackbird, since we stumbled onto that approach from an arrangement standpoint, and we've, I think more than anything, found that we enjoyed it. I mean, that can be very difficult, but the challenge of that is really fun. And when you're kind of restricted by the idea of keeping a song, verse, chorus, bridge, chorus out, keep it under 4 minutes, and it becomes extremely formulaic, your hands are kind of tied as an artist. And I think for us, having a fan base who allows us the opportunity and seems to enjoy the more epic side of the band we're very grateful for, because that is, speaking for myself, is probably the funnest part. Getting to write, the Last Hero and Blackbird and Fortress and these songs that take you on a journey. That's real fun. That's a lot of fun.
I love them, man. It just really showcases your vocal work and, of course, Mark Tremonti's guitar work as well. I know it's great to have a producer to push you to get the best out of each member, but I got to ask you, Myles, internally, how does each member of Alter Bridge challenge each other to get the best performance?
I don't know if we so much challenge each other in the performance side of things. I think we challenge ourselves. Mark and I are very, very hard on ourselves. I'll speak for myself. I'm hard on myself, and I want it to be as perfect as possible when it comes to performing. So I try to give 110% every night. I think where we push each other more than anything is as songwriters. It's great when you have two guys who have such a passion for it, and I think great songwriting teams throughout the kind of the history of rock and roll, there's something real special there, where as opposed to just, and once again, going back to the solo record that I just finished on Year of the Tiger, I didn't have anybody to bounce ideas off of. It was just, I was essentially an island, all by myself. And though that was very liberating in some respects, it made me very aware that when you have a songwriting partner, that you can help kind of, not just that you have that filter, but you also have somebody that is like, hey, let's try doing it this way, and vice versa. It just adds a totally different dynamic, and it pushes you, and it makes it, I think, more interesting at the end of the day.
And on Alter Bridge's album called The Last Hero, it's the 5th studio album for the band. Now, from what I understand, you guys wanted to kind of reinvent how you put songs together. So I was wondering, Myles, if you could elaborate more on that in depth.
Yeah, we have a kind of a formula that we tend to rely on, and I think any artist, after you do something long enough, you stumble into something that a groove and a pocket that works for you. And we decided that we wanted to kind of challenge some of that comfort level and step out of it. So yeah, it was just with arrangement, the way we would approach arrangements, the way we would approach certain chord progressions, and lyrically for me, definitely wanted to try something that was based a little more. No, I don't know if it was an intentional thing, but it ended up happening more than just because we were in the middle of an election cycle, and so that kind of seeped its way into some of the theme. So yeah, it was a very. It ended up being a very inspired record, that's for sure.
And I can definitely hear it on every track on The Last Hero for sure. Myles Kennedy hanging out with us today. And of course, the man, Michael Elvis Baskette, has been with you at the controls for numerous albums as your producer. So when you and Mark bring a song to him that the two of you are not so sure about, and you don't get that immediate reaction from him, is that a sign that you may need to move on and try something else?
It really depends. You know, with Mark and I, it's a number of steps. So if I bring something in, if I bring a piece of music in, or Mark brings a piece of music in, then it's got to get through kind of our filter first, where the other guy's like, yeah, that's cool. And then we take what we assemble there to the band, and then we take it to Elvis. So there's so many different layers. And so it's interesting once it gets to that third part of the process, which is Elvis. When Elvis, if he's lukewarm, it's a drag. I'm not going to lie, but there have been songs where it just takes time. We have to keep working it, keep massaging it, and then eventually go, you know what? I start off not sure about this, and now I like it. And it's that way. That's the beauty of working for as many years as we have together, is you learn that a lot of times the genesis of something might not ignite a spark with everybody, but if you as an artist can see the defined vision down the road and keep pushing for it and fighting for it, and a lot of times it will, when it comes to fruition, then it blossoms. And then, you know, so you kind of, if you really believe in an idea, have to push it through. And then there are things that as a writer I brought in, or Mark's brought in, that we've been lukewarm on, and Elvis will hear it and be like, oh no, that's the one there. And it'll be to our surprise, and then it ends up being the fans' favorite as well. So it's just, you never really know. That's what's interesting about this process.
All right. Any songs that kind of come to mind that you were just referring to? Well,
you know, we had a song called Crows on the new record called Crows on a Wire. And I think initially, that was one where there were some concern as to whether it would make the record or not. But by the time we put all the layers on it and kind of put the icing on the cake, so to speak, then everyone was like, oh yeah, now I get that. Now it's kind of become a mainstay in the set.
You know, it's been 17 years since the movie Rockstar came out, which had a cameo from our guest co-host Myles Kennedy, getting pulled up on the stage by Mark Wahlberg there towards the end. I don't know if they're going to be doing a sequel to Rockstar or not, man, but I loved your character in that movie.
That was me. That was my first and only movie appearance, and it's hard to believe that was, I think that was like 16, 17 years ago. It was a long time. But, yeah, it was fun, except for I felt kind of goofy wearing the wig and the leather trousers. But it was a fun experience.
And I've always been curious, Myles, were you pursuing acting at the time? As you said, this was your only on-screen role.
You know what it was? Initially, I think, the whole idea came about. Are you familiar with Brendan O'Brien? Yes. Amazing producer, and he knew somebody who was involved with the film, and he actually suggested they reach out because he mixed the very first Mayfield 4 record. So apparently they'd been looking for that character for a while. They wanted somebody who could be in the film and also would be the guy who would sing the part. So he said, you should try this guy. Give him a call. So yeah, and then I went and read for the part. I'd never acted before, and so it was all very foreign to me, but it was exciting just because you know, there's a great cast, and it was I thought this, when I read the script, I thought it was very entertaining, you know. So it was cool to kind of step into that world for a little bit and experience the magnitude that is Hollywood film.
Things to look forward to: March 9th, a solo album from our guest co-host Myles Kennedy. If you haven't got The Last Hero from Alter Bridge, which of course features Myles on vocals, get that one too, man. You will not be disappointed. And of course, a song we played many weeks on the Rock Countdown was the lead-off track from The Last Hero called Show Me a Leader. So tell us about the decision process for the release of the first song off an album, since it will be a preview of what's to come before the album is released.
Yeah, so that was tough because we initially, you know, the label had an idea for what the song should be, and then we had our own ideas as to what the first song should be, and so then what happens is, as a band, you're kind of like, well, you lose your perspective because you're so close to the material. Like, so then you just start playing for strangers. You're like, what? You're walking down the street. Hey, what do you think of the song versus this song? But we settled on Show Me a Leader just because I'll never forget. We were in a dressing room and Mark's guitar tech Frosty was sitting there and we played him a few tracks. He goes, that's the song right there. And we were like, all right. So ultimately, I guess Frosty kind of decided it for us.
Well, good job there, Frosty. You picked a hit, man. And I am L.A. Lloyd with Myles Kennedy of Alter Bridge and a solo album coming out in March. Now, on Alter Bridge's album, The Last Hero, Mark Tremonti said it's more complex, has more layers. So did this come more from the band's goal to always perform better than the previous album or from the man, your producer, Elvis Baskette?
I think both. Elvis he never he never settles, which is good. I mean, you want that from your producer. And also, with each record, as an artist, you try and, whether it's doing something better or doing something different, you're just trying to raise the bar to some degree, whether it's, just how you approach it from a songwriting standpoint or performance or production or whatever. So, yeah, it's definitely was a record that when we went into it, I certainly wasn't sure how it was going to end up. But the beauty of making music is once you really get in the trenches and you just kind of immerse yourself in it, it takes on a life of its own. And when it was all said and done, I think when we step back, we're like, yeah, this is kind of, to me, when I listen to that record, it almost sounds like a Alter Bridge greatest hits in the sense that it embraces a lot of elements from a lot of previous records and kind of puts it on the one. So I think it'll be interesting to see with our next record what we decide to do. We're kind of running out of avenues at this point.
I can tell, man, you're a big fan of Elvis, and man, what a great sound he gets out of you guys indeed. Can't wait to hear the new solo album from Myles Kennedy coming out in March as well. Now, working with Mark on some of the older Alter Bridge albums, did he bring more lyrics to the band when you guys first started?
Well, lyrically, yeah. I think on the first record that was certainly, half lyrics were written by the time I came into the fold. But by the time we did Blackbird, 95% lyrics are that's kind of, it's my responsibility to write the script, so to speak. So, and I will say that as between all the projects that I'm in, writing lyrics, I enjoy writing lyrics, but there is something to be said about, getting concerned as time goes on. It's like, where are you going to continue to find subject matter? So, I've been very lucky because I've been involved with so many things that have afforded me the luxury of writing songs. But what you start doing is really keeping your ear to the ground and trying to find new ways of expressing things lyrically. There's so maybe, who knows, maybe on the next record I record, I'll try a different language.
I don't know, man. Maybe try Russian or Spanish next time. Tell me what's one of your favorite songs to perform live from the latest album.
Show Me a Leader. It's especially as we've toured for the last 18 months. And what's fun is seeing how the song has grown as far as the fan reaction. Because when we first started playing it, people weren't familiar with it. And so it's kind of like dogs hearing funny noises where the crowd's turning their head like, what's this? And then you tour it and it gets kind of burned into the collective psyche. And now it's, a well-known Alter Bridge song. And so it's fun to see how the reaction's grown over time.
You've seen Myles Kennedy tour with Slash, Alter Bridge, and he has a solo tour coming up in support of his new solo album called Year of the Tiger, coming out March 9th. And I'm sure lots of folks are going to be streaming this to sample it, to see what it's all about before they actually buy it. So what's your thoughts, man?
Well, for me, I have a subscription to one of the streaming services, and I use that to discover music. And or if I'm traveling, which is obviously a lot, and it just makes I can't carry my CD or my vinyl collection around. But if I really like something, then I will buy the vinyl and or the CD, because as somebody who loves just sitting and listening to music in his house, I don't find that streaming something sonically sounds nearly as good. It's so compressed and kind of chopped up as far as what was originally there. And when you listen to it as it was intended in a big, you know, just warm analog sense, you know, in vinyl, it really adds to the listening experience. So yeah, I totally get that times are changing, and that's a good thing, you know. I think for discovering music, it's really great because if I hear of a band and I want to check it out, then you can just stream it and be like, okay, that's cool. Maybe I'll go buy that.
When you guys listen back to some of your earlier demos, and what is one approach to your songwriting that has been consistent throughout the years and just doesn't change?
I think for me, the quest for some sort of truth that resonates within me, because I know that, as I said earlier, it's like writing your script, and I know that if I have to try and convey it in a believable fashion, it better be something that I have experienced or understand. Though I've tried to become a better quote unquote storyteller, I'd still try to shoot for a story where there's some sort of deep universal truth that I can relate to, and know that I can perform honestly. I mean, to me, it's a certain honesty I'm kind of chasing down with the process, and trying to be as if it requires opening wounds and really going deep into a subject matter that may not be that easy, then I have to do it, because I'm not going to waste my time writing songs that are about nothing and that I care about. We have a very limited amount of time on the planet, and I want it to mean something. I want to leave something behind that means something to me.
Very excited to have Myles Kennedy back on the Rock Countdown today. Of course, that solo album coming out.
Yeah, my debut solo record is called Year of the Tiger, and it'll be coming out on March 9th.
Hey, man, we'll see you later on in the year, and thanks again for co-hosting the L.A. Lloyd Rock Countdown.
It's my pleasure.